Welcome everybody to this edition of Attention Talk Video. I'm your host, ADHD and Attention Coach Jeff Copper. And I'm here today because I want to pay attention to a tip, a strategy, a common thing on the internet that I don't think people really pay attention to. And it's delete, delegate, or defer. As if it's really pretty easy. So it's a time management and organizational tool that a person uses in order to be more productive. Now, if you have something that comes in, the first one is do you need it? Certainly it's easy to delete it or throw it in the trash. Understand though that sometimes you have to go through an evaluation process of what it is. Now if it's just junk mail, that's a piece of cake, but there's something you're like, I might need that, I might not. So just deleting it is not necessarily the easiest thing to do. The second thing is delegate. This one fascinates me. It's said all the time as if delegating is just this thing that you do. One of the things that I've learned over the years in coaching is when you delegate something, you have to organize it. Now what I mean by that is there's two sides to that. One is you've got to organize what you're doing or your thoughts, to articulate it, to give it to somebody, to describe what it is, and explain what you want the outcome to be. So in other words, you have to organize it, which is not easy for those with ADHD. The other side of it is you might give them a pile, but you need to organize and understand what you want the output to be. I know years ago when back in the 90s, I first started using Quicken, I started inputting financial data into it, and I began printing budget reports. And the thing about it is I didn't think about what I wanted in the reports. I didn't organize my thoughts to say this is the type of data that I want. And so after I had done all that input, I found myself having to go back and readjust all the data so the reports look the way I want. My point in this stuff is in order to delegate, it requires organization to think about this is what it is to give to somebody, or you have to organize your thoughts on what specifically you want the outcome to be, which is difficult for those with ADHD. The other area is defer. This is that thing where you take a look at and you put it off for a period of time. And there's a few things that I have found that perpetuate the deferral process for those with ADHD, and this system is not as simple as you might think it is. Number one is if you defer something, it might be something that you need to learn. This is big for me. I have a learning disability, and learning is very arduous and very difficult, particularly on my own without some type of demonstration. So I put it off, and I don't really know how long it's going to take me to grasp it. And if I do grasp it, I don't really know how useful it is. Often I find a lot of apps in this world out there on the internet, they say, hey, you got to get this app, and I've got to go learn the app to figure it all out, to find out if it will do what I want it to do or if it's got a tip or trick. And often I don't like making that investment because I spend a lot of time learning it and it's not useful. The other thing that you defer sometimes is creativity. Sometimes you need that aha, that insight, that thing, and there's things that you can do to accelerate that process, but you can't always control when that brilliant idea is going to come with you or come to you. And so when you defer, often you're waiting for an insight or different way of looking at it, and it gets deferred over a relatively long period of time, and that makes that a little difficult. The third thing about deferring stuff is people do it is they defer it because they're not clear about something. This is a big issue. It's a huge issue with regard to procrastination, and I think it underlines most things that ADHD procrastinate is I'm not really sure. You might think you know where something is. You might think I need to do a newsletter, but how you actually do it, the words, the idea, the content, are you going to use Constant Contact, Weber? There's a lot of ambiguity that's there. So my point really is I don't want to discourage you from the concept of delete, delegate, and defer, but I like to pay attention to it so you're paying attention to what you're paying attention to. And if you get something in, you ask yourself a question is, do I need this? Will I need it? Could I need it? How would I need it? If you can, delete it. That will remove it. And sometimes you get stuff in and listen, I might need it, but I'll get another one in the future. Understand that if you're going to delegate something, you got to stop and realize that you've got to organize it. If you don't pay attention to the need to organize it, you're going to find you defer it. And then when it comes to the deferring stuff, realize the epicenter a lot of times is you don't know how long it's going to take to learn. It requires some creativity, or there's something that's not clear. And if you identify those, you can more specifically say, how am I going to get in a creative environment? How can I accelerate my learning, or where can I go to get some clarity on what to do? And if you understand that, I think that you can be more effective at executing the delete, delegate, and defer tip that's all over the internet. So As always, I like to pay attention to attention, and those 3 simple words, there's a lot more behind it that can get you stuck. Hope you've enjoyed this. We'd love for you to subscribe to our channel by clicking on the button below. I'd also love to hear your comments on this video, its content, and the rest of our channel. We hope you've enjoyed this. Take care.